afternoon.
Hold on.
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, yeah, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we're broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In this morning's edition of Focus on Liberia, we're going to be discussing key urgent labor issues in Liberia, and our guest is Sahr Tengbeh. He's a labor law and policy expert, also the founder of Liberia Labor and Governance Alliance. Welcome, George, to the Mr. Tengbeh, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good morning good afternoon from Liberia. It is an honor and a pleasure being on your show. My name is Sahr Tengbeh. I'm the founder and CEO of the Liberia Labor and Governance Alliance. I come with labor expertise with a professional and educational background. I got my first master's in water resource management and from the Netherlands. Then I traveled to Germany and got a joint masters of arts in labor policies and globalization with extensive internship at the International Labor Organization, the European Trade Union Congress in Berlin, and the International Trade Union Federation in France, and at the Industrial or Global Union that's there in Switzerland. On a man watch, Liberia was able to win labor program where Industrial or asked me to serve as a consultant on a need assessment project that could see trade and worker unions benefit in Liberia through training, capacity development, and other areas. So I'm back in my country to see how we can all work together to fix this labor issue that we currently have.
Thank you very much, and we are glad to have you. Let me also welcome someone who knows a thing or two about labor, Mr. Kalebo Gonglo, the progenitor of the Mass Union Project. Mr. Gonglo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm happy to be back on FOL after a long stay away. I'm quite excited about labor issues. So that's why I want to participate this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about some labor issues like unemployment, and things that will concern. But before I go into that, you probably have seen Josh, talking about some labor issues, and on on his personal Facebook Live. Let me give you a gist.
Labor Takiome, the Deputy Minister for Administration Takiome, the Assistant Minister for Administration Takiome, the Assistant Minister for Aid and Registration Takiome, the Human Resource Manager Takiome, the Comptroller General Takiome, the Director of Procurement Takiome, the Labor Commission in Bon County Takiome, Labor Commission also in Nima, Gio. Labor Commission in Grand Bassa, Gio. Labor Commission in Upper Magibi, Gio. Labor Commission in Monserrado is the brother of Deputy Minister for Administration Mensual, Gio man. Assisting Labor Commission in Magibi County is Mary To, the cousin of the vice.
All right. That's just a gist of what Mr. Tengbeh has been talking about. This morning, we want to discuss key labor issues, including high unemployment, the poor working conditions and safety violations, weak enforcement of labor laws, lack of job security, of course, corruption and patronage-based hiring that he highlighted, and also the foreign worker dominance in Liberia. George, I want us to start like this, right? Just give me a brief summary of some of the key labor issues affecting our country and why you think those are problematic. You're muted.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
George,
Thank you very much.
Josh, 1 minute before you go, Dennis. I'm trying to share this show, and I'm on FOL Facebook page. I don't see it. How do I share it?
Okay, I will send it to you.
I can post the link here in the comment section if you want.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Josh. I'll take care of that, Josh. Go ahead. Give me
Okay, thank you. So the labor sector of our country as we speak, and it is very good to have Mr. Gonglo here who also work in that sector. It will surprise you to know that since the inception of this government, and this is not the core issue of this government, is the only government that has mismanaged the sector, even the past government, because I can recall we have series of documents on the former labor minister at that time when he was playing a double standard game, serving as a referee and then as a player at the same time, because he was representing the legal interest of Beer Mountain in Grand Cape County. So this sector has long been mismanaged. As of current, and owing to the fact that the mismanagement has escalated into another form, you have a sector that is uncontrollable. In recent time, we posted on our Facebook page and on our social media handles situations where Assistant Minister of Labor on labor standard is issuing temporary work permit. Doing the work of a minister, he signed it and he stamped it. We also share situation where Labor Commissioner for Lower Magibi County created a receipt, his own customized receipt to go and collect work permit fines of in a tone of $5,000 from a businessman or from a company. And that is not the only situation. We also share the situation where the leaders at the Ministry of Labor have forgotten their role entirely. Like workers that are working in bond mines, China Union, they send to us letter, document exposing the different level of mismanagement, how their jobs are being taken away from them, how they don't have access to health. They are drinking from creeks. They don't sleep in good areas. And guess what? On top of everything, The Minister of Labor will cease not to speak on these matters. And why? It is alleged that he has, in some recordings that we have that we will not share it with you now, that you can listen to him saying to a labor commissioner on the phone, "What are you doing in Burma's at Channel Union? Get yourself in." Sorry, I would not want to use the exact words that he used, but he was sounding very, I mean, using invectives on the phone with this worker. So this is a situation. Workers in our country will not be prioritized. They will not be cared for. The Bureau of Employment, a sector at the Ministry of Labor that should focus squarely on providing different opportunities like sharing Liberians are needed for a job. That bureau is dead. It's not working, because if they were working, you will not find the minister giving 42 work permit to one Chinese company only squarely on a document that says we need the people to get a work permit because they are coming to do specific jobs in Liberia to support Channel Union. And that came from Bangli PTE Limited. We have those documents. The letter did not in any way tell you the term of reference of those new employees that they want to give letter to, or foreigners. The letter did not tell you in any way when will be the end contract of that period. So in short, this ministry under this leadership has been tribalized, nepotized, compromised, and mismanaged. They care solely about alien work permit. That is the reason why the minister will tell you that in the month of September, he generated 1.7 million this year. If you divide that by $3,000 US, which is the new work permit fee, you get 566. So that is in the month of September. In the month of October, he said he generated 1.8 million. I'm quoting from himself. If you divide that again, you get 600 workers. So in 2 months' time, we had 1,166 workers added to the workforce. Are they Liberians? No, they are all foreigners. So against this, I'm of the strongest conviction that this minister along this regime cares squarely about generating revenue through the alien registration department, and he's not in the interest of workers.
Thank you. Before I bring in Mr. Gonglo, let me ask you. I know this is what you studied in school, right? But how close are you to the Ministry of Labor? Do you work? How do you know all these things? Let me put it that way in a basic way. But what do you do?
So I am not close to the Ministry of Labor. Like, if you want to talk about me having personal
No,
relationship
no.
with the minister, no.
Do you work
But
there
if you want to talk about, no, I don't work there. I have never worked for the Ministry of Labor. I came to Liberia, and the first time I went to that ministry was when I went to submit an application for sectoral clearance for my organization. And at that time, my application was denied because the minister sent me down to the Office on Labor Standard, and they said that my organization is not a trade union or worker union, so they cannot provide me a sectoral clearance. So from that day onward, I have always submitted documents to the Ministry of Labor when there are issues of whistleblowing and reporting bad labor practice or occupation safety and health at different companies. I have done that. We always submit it to the ministry, hoping that the ministry will go there and investigate and do the right thing. Because we, from the Liberal Labor and Governance Alliance, we are supplementing the work of the Ministry of Labor. We are not doing their work, but we're trying to help them to see that they represent the interests of the Liberian people better. On the side note, we got friends at the Ministry of Labor. We got insiders. We got people who people who don't want to see that ministry fail under this regime. We got people who want to see that the Ministry of Labor improve under this regime. So we will always have a conversation, and we know that we have good working relationship with some of the foreign companies. Some of the workers are willing to give us information. So we don't discuss with the management of the private companies. We go to the workers themselves. Every information I provide to you are information affecting the workers because we deal directly with the workers. And we think that should be the responsibility of the Ministry of Labor. But it was for you to know that the last time, and that was the touching interview from him that got me hurt, was when he stopped in Congo Town to speak to the workers building the overpass bridge, and he asked them, "What is the issue?" So they explained to him. Then the first statement that came from him that got me angry was he was trying to praise Singh to be a bar wagon for the Chinese government. The Chinese people are helping our government through the development of the overpass bridge here. So we have to be careful. Mr. Minister, are you serious? Have you forgotten your function? Are you now the Minister of Foreign Affairs? Are you now the liaison officer to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or to China? You are there to support and defend the interests of workers, not to praise Singh, a foreign company, in front of the workers. In fact, that meeting shouldn't have been held outside. It should have been held inside the conference room of the Ministry of Labor to protect the image and the information from these workers.
So the Liberal Labor and Governance Alliance, what this is an organization. Just tell me a little bit about that organization and what the purpose or what you do.
So at Liga, we mainstream bad labor practices and advocate for better labor governance. So
Thank
we
you.
go to the trenches. We go to areas where nobody wants to go, nobody wants to talk about, to uncover these fights and then advocate that they be changed.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Gonglo, who too worked at the Ministry of Labor. Mr. Gonglo, I want to get your opening. I know I invited you because you eat labor like Kenya. So that's why when we have our labor expert, I wanted you to be on the show as well and you take your interest.
Well, first, let me begin with this. I'm not a labor expert. I just work at the Ministry of Labor. As you know, my background is in math and statistics. So, but I have good knowledge of how the Ministry of Labor functions. Even under the Decent Work Bill, the current Decent Work Bill, even though I'm not a lawyer, but I participated in almost all of the workshops and the different civil society organization engagement, even trade union, and the tripartite partners engagement with what you go into the law. In fact, the consultant that wrote the law, who came from Geneva, Switzerland, was somebody that I interacted with closely, both in Liberia and in Switzerland, in Geneva, Switzerland. So I have good knowledge of what is in the current Decent Work Bill and how the whole thing came about. And there are different provisions in the Decent Work Bill that, as we discuss, we can go into it. But my first reaction would be to set some things straight. I know I watched the intro video that George talked about tribalizing the Ministry of Labor. Before the show started, I was just explaining to George. Liberia is a very interesting country. We have a civil service system that is not merit-based. So people get hired in public service not based on merit. They get hired in public service because of their connections to someone in that ministry. And based on my short time in public service in Liberia for 6 years, this is what I gathered so far. And I tested this not in a scientific way, but I very, maybe 3 ministry, I should say. If you go to Genesis, if you take any ministry, go there and just ask who is the HR. If you ask who is the HR, actually tribal identity of that HR, and actually maybe the past 2 to 3 HR before that other HR. If you just identify their tribal identity, count how many us in our ministry come from those tribes. HRs are very critical in the civil service system in the country. And because of the hiring process, the hiring process is not based on merit. The HR actually get people hired based on information. Like I was telling George when I was assistant
Uh,
minister,
Mr. Gonglo, when you say the HR, meaning what
the
they do
human
is
resources, yeah,
independent of the management.
it's not independent, but you know what? They are part of the management, the senior management team,
Yeah.
working with the different departments. They will know which position is vacant, what new position has been created, right? So they pass that information, most instances, to the tribal people or people that they know. And then they will show them how to do it, where to go, and how to get our job because they know the procedure. But that procedure is not public, it's not in newspaper, there is no test being given, and what have you. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, generally people get hired, then they say go to CSA and get whatever, you know. So I know there are attempts to change it, but it's just something to say for the public. Your own experts say you're changing it. But so many people have been hired that we know, and some of you may know that didn't go through, they didn't take tests before they got hired. They got hired before they got tested, and obviously they passed. So that's how people get hired generally in public service. So I wanted to clear this out so that Mr. Tengbeh does not necessarily get into this round or so give people here. But if you take other ministry, this is how people are hired. Even if you look at the executive, currently, Tengbeh is a kissy man because Tengbeh is a kissy me. I know this part. I work with a kissy people.
Don't be too sure.
No,
Some
no,
people say my name is Sierra Leonean.
no, because Jai is also used in Sierra Leone.
Okay, so
So yeah, but I know for sure Tengma is accusing me. So, but look at President Boakai appointment. On count, presidential appointments, I've checked it on the executive mansion website. Those are the president, the chief executive of Liberia that is bound by law. The executive law of 1970, I believe, 4, expressly mandate the president to have a cabinet that is geographically balanced, not on tribal land. But 68% of Baga appointees are from Lofa. 68% are from Lofa. The one who is mandated by law to have a balanced appointment, he appoints and says, so you can see that even if you're accusing Councillor Koba Klua, what's about his own tribal, his own kinsman who is the president?
so is this a justification or you saying
No.
this is
So
business as usual?
the point I'm trying to get at is
Yeah.
it's a systemic problem that
Okay.
even governs the executive marshal. So to single out even Kobakula, I think is a bit unfair. If you go to Ministry of Finance, just check how many ministers have been there. Say Amra Kona, Gosling Gafwan, Boyman, Kamara, check. And then check the trouble, then check people who have come in the ministry. I mean, that's how people are hired mostly. There are very few exceptions, but I can tell you in public service in the country, this is how people hire. And most of the hiring are based on political connections, much more than travel connection. Councillor Kubokwa comes from NDR. NDR is NIMA-based party. It's not in any other country. So if he's hiring people based who come from political parties, definitely he's going to hire general in buying because it's a NIMA-based party. You don't find it in any other country. No.
Thank you. Mr. Tembe, I know Mr. Gonglo start talking about because that's one of the key issues in Liberia, hiring based on that is not based on merit. So let's talk about your live feed that talk about this person is Gio, this person is Gio, and that's why I was particular. How do you know the ethnic identity of these people? If you can unmute.
Right, thank you. So firstly, let me say to Mr. Gonglo, thank you for your analysis. I think your analysis is perception-wise. I think it is because of some bad practices and I would say unfair treatment, that individual bring to the process. Take for an example, if Minister Cooper Crown was appointed Minister of Labor, or the presidency they giving the entire Ministry of Labor to MDR, which of course we know that was the case. It was exactly what happened. So, because MDR supported President Joseph Boakai to become president, and subsequently they take over the Ministry of Labor after they were denied the Ministry of Justice. Does that in any way give counselor or whole counselor at law? Does that in any way gives him the privilege, the rights to say that he is going to appoint a human resource manager of his same kind and of the same tribe? Now let's hold you to the fact that human resource manager are prominent decision makers and game changer in any system. Don't you think his appointment will compromise that sector entirely? I was at the Ministry of Labor. There was one time I wanted to submit a document to the Assistant Minister on Labor Standard. At that time, it was when there was this situation at SETI Steel Company at Chikisu Factory, where people were working in hazardous situation, working with carbons, with no carbon marks. And then they were polluting the air in that community and causing noise pollution and air pollution, different forms of pollutions. Guess what? When I submitted a video, it was not just picture, video. You could see Liberians working in that smoke, exceeding smoke with no max. 1 week after, Minister Emmanuel, who is also a Gilman, he received that document. And guess what? He will not take no action until I went there to do a follow-up. I asked him, Minister, did you receive? He said, yes, I received it. I have invited the people to a conference. That conference was not held until 2 weeks later, when a Liberian died at that work station, was when the Ministry of Labor went there to investigate. It was when they decided to set up the occupation safe labor. Now, let's go to the question about individual tribe. I will say to you, Mr. Jar, I don't need to work at the Ministry of Labor. I got friends there. And moreover, the information I am providing to you, you got friends in Liberia who are also journalists. If you don't believe this information are real, send them to the Ministry of Labor. And I can say to you again, and there are more names coming up. That sector have been just squarely centered on the Geo people. I'm clear and I'm free to say this, and I'll say it anytime. The Minister of Labor is a Geo man. The president appointed him. It did not mean if he recommend any other tribe to the president, he was going to lose his solidarity relationship with the Geo people. No, but he recommended the deputy minister Mansour to be his deputy, and he is deputy minister for administration. He is also a Geo man. He also appointed the human resource manager to that ministry, and the human resource manager is a Geo man. He also makes sure that the president appointed the procurement, confirmed the procurement director that he, Minister Kubakra, appointed, who is also a gear woman. Now, I am listing for you details. And like I keep saying, if you don't believe what I'm saying, the 10 positions at the Ministry of Labor, I bet you it will only be two of them that will be of different tribe, which is one, the Deputy Minister for Manpower and Development, Steve Koruba, that is from Lofa County, and he is from the EFFL. And there is another person. Those are the only two persons that are from different tribe and of the top 10 positions at the Ministry of Labor. The rest of them, they are Geo. Now, that does not even go to the names that have been appointed by the human resource manager, those slots that he has created. It will surprise you to know the sector has been tribalized, nepotized, and compromised. That is the reason why corruption will not go anywhere. That's the reason why the Minister of Purpose will not punish Minister Emmanuel Zor for using his own signature and stamp in a position and function that he, the minister, is supposed to do. He is issuing temporary work permit. We have published it. That is the reason why the minister will not punish this other lower Magibi commissioner who went to collect a fine of $5,000. The NSA is still investigating that case. Said he is married to the cousin of the vice president, and his link makes him untouchable. So these things are facts. They are there at the Ministry of Labor. These people are there. I will tell you this before I close up for you to come in. I can recall in few 1 day ago, yeah, because my life has been threatened just like the same way Senator Dillon life has been threatened because why he decided to come up open against the Geo people and the employment at the Ministry of Labor. So I wrote a complete letter documenting all of these facts and sent it to the International Labor Organization, report my Keynesian unit, and send a copy to the Global Labor University. They sent an email to the deputy minister for our administration. I saw that email where they were asking him this same question that you are now asking. I'm in copy of that mail. Guess what? It had been 3 days now. He read that email. Believe me, he has said nothing to these people. Mind you, all of these things damage the reputation of this government and this country because the ILO is still sending support to Liberia through different forms and programs. So if these things are happening, believe me, like I keep saying, if the minister does not change, if he cannot either resign from the Ministry of Labor or dismiss the human resource manager, believe me, Minister Cooper Cry will go down in history as the most corrupt labor minister ever. I can say this.
Thank you, Mr. Gonglo. Let me welcome. Hold on, Mr. Gonglo. Let me welcome Mr. Gabriel M. Tabito Carter. He's a global banking and finance expert. Also, he's the team lead for FOL Marketplace. Welcome, Gabriel.
Dennis, it's good to be here. Mr. Tengbeh, good to be on this platform with you. And Mr. Gonglo, I believe this is our first time meeting, but I'm looking forward to having a good discussion with you. Again, I apologize for being late. Family duty.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Saturday. Mr. Gonglo, before you come in, because can you confirm? I mean, you are from Nimba. You probably personally know some of these people. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I don't want to be one who say because of this person's name, the person is Gio. Do we know for a fact that these people are from the same ethnic group? Do you know, Mr. Gonglo?
So Dennis, here is going to be my approach. I don't want to get into name calling, right? For example, some of the name, the few of the name you call, I know they are your name, but no, that's not for me. That's not the issue. The issue, my counter argument is we can discuss more substantive issue because the tribalization of the civil service system hiring process in the country is nothing new. I'm saying Kobakla is not mandated by law. Okay, and that's what I told you last night, Dennis. I don't want to be in a situation where I defend something I don't believe in. I don't believe people should be hired in public service based on their tribe. I believe we should have a merit-based public system hiring. That's what I believe in. And that's the one we all fight for. Because that's why we put Liberia on a path of growth, economic growth. Because we need to have the capacity. The decent work bill that Mr. Tengbeh is well versed in because he's an expert on labor issue. The decent work bill calls for so many things that the Ministry of Labor needs to have the capacity to enforce the decent work bill. But the ministry clearly does not have the capacity because they are not hiring people based on expertise or based on merit, right? But it's not the Ministry of Labor alone. So my point is, here is a president that is mandated by the executive laws of Liberia to hire a cabinet based on on geographic distribution. It should be geographically balanced. It is a mandate in the executive law that President Bouaga presides over. President Bouaga appoints his cabinet, other deputy and assistant ministers. 68% of the presidential appointees come from Lofa. And not only Lofa, not just the fact they come from Lofa, they come from only two tribes, the Kisi and the Bandis. Very few Loma people. Lofa had six tribes or so. But only Kisi and Bandi dominate in President Bouaga appointment, right? So then Kubakla does not have the appointing power. He has recommendation of power. But when you recommend, it's just like he's an advisor to the president. So, Mr. President, I think this. So, President Bouaga has team, supposedly, or I assume he should have a team, a vetting team in his office, that when the need comes to the desk, they will vet and say, okay, no, this person from Nima, I don't think it's a good idea. We're going to put this person as this. So let's send a person to different ministry. We'll bring that person to that ministry. It is the boss staff with President Bouaga, not Kopokula. That's my argument.
Okay. So even though the system is bad, but Bouaga is not cruel.
Of course, it is President Bouaga, not Councilor Kopokula. That's my argument.
Okay.
All the bad practices in hiring, Bouaga is the icon of it because he has appointed 68% of his appointees come from Lofa and only from two tribes, Kisi and Bandi. Wow. So you don't blame Kopokula. That's my argument.
Wow.
And I disagree with it. If Kopokula is doing it, I disagree with it. But President Bouaga is the cause.
Yeah, and so, but my question to you also is, can you confirm that actually they are guilty, but President Bouaga is the cause?
Yeah, a few of the names you call, they are guilty. But for me, that's not the issue.
No, I just wanted to get that part from you because I don't want to believe this person's ethnic group based on their name. When I heard Mr. Gabriel Carter, I thought he was American. Not knowing he from all the way from the tailpipe of Maryland. Mr.
Well, I thought that Gabriel from San. So I was wrong.
Yeah. So that's why I don't use name. But before I go to back to Mr. Tengbeh, Mr. Carter, I was just hearing you saying, "Wow," but what problem? You work here. Sometimes when we say, "Oh, don't compare the two," but what problem do you see with such a behavior? On the business side and everywhere else.
Dennis, thank you again. I listened to both panelists here, and there's two takeaways, right? One is I do kind of understand where Mr. Tengbeh is coming from in terms of the tribalization, if that is even a word, of the Ministry of Labor. Right. But then again, I want to focus on the essential responsibility of that department, what it is supposed to do. Right. These are the people that are supposed to regulate labor laws, health and safety of the workers in the country, workers' permits. Are they being efficient in that? Right. So let's look at how efficient they are in terms of carrying out their duty. Right. Then we can bring it down to this level in terms of who are the people doing the job. The next question is, are these people qualified? Right? Forget the fact that they are. We can agree. We can look at somebody's name and kind of maybe 80% or 90% say this person is from this tribe. But are they being effective in their roles? Are they qualified to be in those positions? Right? Are they delivering for the Liberian people? Are foreign workers having more advantage over the Liberian workforce in the country? And if that is the problem, then those are the things we need to be focusing on, right? We can look at the tribal aspect, and again, I don't want to discount that aspect of it.
No, you have a good point.
Right? We can look at that aspect of it. If these people were not qualified, then we can nail down to say this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem.
So let's go back to Tengbeh. Josh.
Right. So I want to leave it on that.
Yeah. So Josh, let me ask you this. let's say, what problem is this causing at the ministry? Because they are from one ethnic group. Are they qualified? Are they doing what they're supposed to do?
Right.
Are they delivering, or just we look at their tribe? Who say Guillaume can eat too? Go ahead.
So, Mr. Carter, thank you. I like when people try to be smart and play ob objective the politics. Is very good, is very nice, and that is nice. But but the thing is, now if you see the hike in mismanagement at the Ministry of Labor, it's because people that have been designated to do certain jobs, they are not doing it. And
Okay.
even if they do it in error, the minister will not punish them. Why? It's because they are of his kinsmen.
Yeah.
I just listed for you reasons. Assistant Minister on Labor Standard used his portfolio and position to issue temporary work permit. Has he been suspended? No. Has he been given any form of warning letter? No. Is he working? Yes. Is he not the godson to the minister? Yes. Is he not from the gear bill? He is. Lower Magibit Commissioner issue receipt to collect fines of $5,000. That money should have been channeled through the LRA.
Yes.
Has he been suspended? No. Is he not still working at the Ministry of Labor? He is. What is the reason? His relationship. So these
Okay.
are some of the reasons why we keep saying you cannot have kingsmen of your kind occupying top position. Come on, think of it. Was it President Walker that appointed the Comptroller General at the Ministry of Labor? And who is the Comptroller General? He is the brother of the Deputy Minister of Labor. Who is the Deputy Minister of Labor? He is another Guillermin. So a Guillermin controls the finance.
Yeah.
A Guillermin controls the human workforce. A Gilman is the Minister for Administration, all of the administrative proceeding. Then a Gilman is the Minister proper. A Gil woman is the procurement director. And that procurement director, I can say it to you for free. I know her
Mhm.
personally. She is a high school graduate. She lived in the US for over 15 years. She came back to Liberia during the election. And then subsequently, the president won through her relationship with the late Senator Prince Johnson. I know these people. I've seen them. These are the
So,
reasons why that sector is so corrupt and cannot change. It's because of these relationships.
so
So
Dennis,
this is
yeah.
my point of argument. Now,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
do you want to comment? Okay,
No, no. Go
perfect.
ahead. Go
So
ahead. Go
now
ahead.
I listen. I listened to a good argument from Mr. Gonglo that you cannot blame Councilor Crown. All right. Now, my argument is when the president appointed him to be minister, did the president tell him you should bring all your kinsmen to occupy top position? Do you know that it will compromise even you, the minister, on decisions that you will take? You will not want to take them. Also, what happened to Article 18 of our Constitution? The ones that talks about merit-based employment. A man or woman should be employed based on your qualification. It does not
Right.
matter which tribe you come from. It does not matter which ethnic grouping who you support. What happened to that portion of the Constitution? And the reason why I keep getting angry and sentimental about this thing is because labor is the bedrock of society.
Yeah.
Without workers, there will be no consular corporate crowd.
Government. Yeah.
Without workers, there will be no improvement and development of the Liberian infrastructure and the economy. So if the workers
Absolutely.
are not prioritized, like what we are seeing now, then we have a problem. If the sector has been compromised and nepotized, then we have a problem. I tell you for free, and before I stop for Mr. Carter to come in, all of the new staffs, 60% to 70% of the new staffs that joined the Ministry of Labor when this government took over, that are not from that belt or from that Geo ethnic group or Mano ethnic group. Do you know that their names were sent to the CSA. We have documents on these ones. Their names were sent to the CSA. They didn't take tests. Their names have not come out. You know why? Because the CSA boss said the people didn't take tests. Their names are not yet out. They are still being paid $150 to $180, $1 to $180 US. Some of them got BSc. Some of them got higher degrees. But guess what? The relatives and children of Deputy Minister Menswell, the relatives and children of Minister Kopokran, they are paid through checks. Every month they go to CBL. Now, those 60% of the workforce that I talk about that just joined the ministry, do you know that in the year 2024, they only got paid for five months? The ministry still owe them for 7 months? Yes. Do you know that in the year 2025, they have been paid for only 5 months as we speak? The ministry still owe them. You know why? Because they keep complaining that CSA has not approved their employment statuses at the Ministry of Labor. That was the reason why you saw that reverend, that pastor whose name I won't call, resigned from the ministry and was demanding Deputy Minister Menswell to pay him 7 months because he owed him 7 months. So these things are fights. They are not close gossip. They are open. Send your team or whoever you have to go to the Ministry of Labor to carry on their investigation. So human capacity development will not work for another tribe. It will growth. An increase in salary will not work for another tribe if you are at the Ministry of Labor. It will only work for one sector because one tribal system has been employed at the Ministry of Labor.
Dennis, quickly, what I wanted to say, let me come in and that, Mr. Gonglo, just 1 second. I know that's your turn, right? Here's the point that I wanted to, the second point that I wanted to make here, right? I wasn't defending the tribalization or the tribalism that is taking place within that department, right? What I wanted to look at mostly is basically the effect of the department or institution, whatever it is, right? What are they doing their job, right? The third point here is
and
that
to your point, it's possible that you do the
right
right thing, even regardless of your ethnic background.
right. So
You are right.
the other point that I was trying to make here is I agree with you. It is a bigger problem, right? Then the bigger question becomes why? Why do you think this is happening? Right? Then you should cast a wider net in terms of why is this happening? For me, there's only one thing I can attribute this to: political base. Political base, political base. You mentioned Geo people, Geo people, Geo people, Geo. What do most of the Geo people come from? Nimba, right? Nimba, I would say mostly. What is the most deciding county in terms of voting in our country? Nimba, right? The godfather is no longer there. So in order to solidify that county for the upcoming election, if I were the president, I have to do something to solidify that base, right? And I think for me, that's the only thing I can attribute it to that. If I employ a lot of Geo people within from the Nimba belt or within the Nimba belt, I can, without Prince Johnson or any godfather stepping up in that county, I can still secure that county comes time of election. But then the last question here is, is there any law on the books that can challenge those appointments, right? Even if the president appointed Mr. Crow, right? All of his hiring that he's currently doing, and as you have asserted, these are people from the Geo tribe. Are there any law on the books where we can resort to challenge that? Because you cannot go to the president and say, oh, you have to fire this person, but you can come to the minister, you can challenge his appointment if there were any laws on the books. I yield. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gonglo, I want us to talk about the Decent Work Act, right? How has it been violated based on what the issues that Mr. Tengbeh is raising? Is the act being violated? Let's talk about that more. I know you want to compare with Buckeye, but I want to stay with the labor ministry.
Yes, but there's something I wanted to find out from Mr. Tengbeh first, because he's an expert and he's dealing with this issue on a daily basis. I wanted to ask him just to understand maybe because he has a focus on this.
Mhm.
So, you know, like in terms of what you know currently, if you look at the decent work bill, the inspectorate, because you are dealing with companies, you are going to other places.
It's no longer a bill, it's an act now, Decent Work Act.
The decent work act. The decent work act. If you look at it, there are sections that call for human rights committee at all the companies. Any company that is established as as a business in Liberia, there must be one human rights committee there. Workers must be allowed to have that. The company should be deliberate about that. There must be human rights committee. There must be health and sanitation committee. There must be the call for other committees. I don't remember everything now. It's been a while. But the act calls on companies to allow workers to establish these committees so that workers will meet and discuss sanitation and safety issues and where to work. And then there is a monthly report on that to management. The act calls for that. Have you, in your monitoring, have you seen if companies are abiding by those, if they have human rights committee, if they have health and sanitation committee, if they have they have, do they have that at the different companies you deal with? Like you mentioned, City Brothers. Do you, for sure, do you know if workers there have these committees and they are meeting and they are reporting, they are making report monthly to management?
So, Mr. Temple, before you come in now, so break down this Decent Work Act, and based on Mr. Gonglo's question, is it working?
Because then there's a reason I'm asking, like Gabriel talked about capacity. I even talked about capacity earlier, and Gabriel raised the issue. The reason, and I have argued that a ministry, not just Ministry of Labor, many ministries in Liberia lack the capacity to enforce the act that create all their legal responsibility, right? It's not just limited to Ministry of Labor. So if you look in the inspectorate division, mostly at least most, we're dealing with, there's so many issues we need to unpack here, right? By the law, by the letters of the law, labor standard. Labor standard actually should have people who have college degree in the sciences, because they're actually inspecting a lot of stuff. Like you go to Firestone, you go in there to go inspect. You must have a good idea on chemicals in that industry, right? And you should have an idea on what are the safety gears that workers should have. But the Act itself calls companies to have those committees so that workers are reporting. So when labor inspectors go, they should ask a company, bring this your file, bring this photo on the workers committee report on the human rights committee report from the workers, bring this other report from the health and safety committee. Because inspectors are asking, their companies should open a book on their safety practices, on their human rights practices, because that law was written, even though it was adopted by the Liberian legislature, it was indicted into a law, but it was written by an European lawyer, right? And this is why even Liberia is the only, I think Liberia and South Africa, they are the only two countries in Africa that have paternity leave, because that's European legal precedents. They put paternity leave in. We are the only country in West Africa with paternity leave in our labor law. That if your wife deliver, you have the right to go for paternity leave to also provide care. So I want maybe Tengbeh to update us on this, and let's get away with this trouble thing. I agree the trouble thing is bad.
Hold on now. Let's take it one at a time.
Right. We can't. I agree with you. We can't just move away from the travel thing. I mean, it is there. You can't just turn a blind eye. But it just.
Gabriel, my argument, Gabriel, you are working in a senior executive position. By the way, congratulations for your admission to UPenn because of the post.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, if the president that has the appointing power.
No, I get that part, Mr.
Yeah,
Gongo. I get the Waka part.
man. That's my point.
Yeah. So it's bad everywhere. Today,
It is
this
right.
bad thing, we are focusing on the labor ministry. Waka doing it, your friend, maybe Double Jala doing it too. So we
No,
get all that one.
is not a
Uh-huh.
trouble.
Exactly. So we get all that one. Today we are zeroing in on the labor ministry. So Mr. Tengbeh, let's talk about
Yeah.
the decent work out and how it's being honored or not apply, because the act says, let me read the purpose. It says the purpose of this act: one, to promote attainment of decent work in Liberia by establishing a regulatory environment which facilitates a continuing and further creation of quality employment, the ability of all to exercise their rights at work, a measure of social protection and participation in institutions and processes of social dialogue. B, ensure respect for and the protection and fulfillment of fundamental rights at work in Liberia, including fundamental rights that are protected by the Constitution of Liberia, and so on and so forth. So this Decent Work Act, Mr. Tengbeh, where is it taking us? Is it being implemented to the letter? Or because of what you see at the Ministry of Labor,
Thank,
Mr. Gonglo was asking all those committees that's supposed to be
thank
set
you
up, are they
very
there?
much,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Ja. Mr. Gongdo, let me first say that I respect the fact that you have worked at the Ministry of Labor and that you have that kind of, professional relationship there with many of the workforce, giving their, different positions. But I am not the only person, like I'm not the only person who studied labor that believe the decent work act that was created in Switzerland to be denied by Liberia. Let me say this again. The decent work act that was created in Switzerland was a test from the International Labour Organization. Why? The ILO came up with this program of decent work. The idea was to create more support for workers. If you read that decent work act that we adopted from start to end, the original act that is on the International Labour Organization, go there, go and click decent work and read the real act. If you read what we have in our country, it's naughty. They omitted many things. That is the reason why our act will say if. What if? Lot of excuses, no repercussions, prepositions. You understand? So we believe that actually should not have been passed or accepted in our country. As a matter of fact, I think that Liberia is the only country, and this is a debate that we have argued at the ILO, and we argued for over 3 months when I was there doing internship for 6 months. This debate was simple. Was it right for Liberia to adopt the Decent Work Act of Liberia? All of the panelists on the debate team that were countering us said no. We were only two persons that were trying to defend why Liberia adopted it. And let me give you the reason why. Liberians that went there to represent us at that time, because of the budget that was supporting that act. Take for an example, if you want to adopt it, the ILO will give you a sponsorship fee. So you take that sponsorship fee and come to your country, ratify the act and adopt it and use it. Liberia is the only country that adopted it. Now, the only portion of the act that was adopted by Liberia and South Africa, like he mentioned, is the one that talks about the paternity leave. Now, I stand to be corrected. Those are the two countries that adopted, and that is the best part of the ILO Act that was adopted. The rest of that act that we adopted in Liberia, I still call a toothless bulldog. It bites, a bite, but it does not bite. It cannot bite you. The act is, I mean, is so bad. It does not support workers. The idea was for it to support workers. So what did our lawmakers do? What were the omission? What did they remove to inject things that will not bring companies to book? Where in that act that it says there should be a fine of $5,000 for labor rights violation? It is nowhere in that act. That is the reason why you saw in recent time and of most in most recent cases, I would say, the lawmaker from district number two, no, district number three, Representative Small Moba, came up with that minimum wage bill, where he wanted to see that Liberians make $250 as a minimum wage. He forget to understand that there are structural and institutional reform analysis for that same minimum wage act, for that same minimum wage bill that he wants to talk about, but he don't want to go there. You know the reason is because Liberia and Liberians, we are so used to having quick fixes.
Yeah.
We don't want to institutionalize programs. We don't want them to be sustainable. That is the reason why we push every time for quick impact projects. Quick impact project cannot solve the problem. If you want to increase the minimum wage or improve it, you need to conduct leges. You need data from leges. You need to conduct NASCOP to make sure whether companies are in labor compliance. You need to conduct NRA to know whether companies are paying money, because you need to analyze key performance indicators. Without key performance indicators, you cannot in any way improve waste. And also, the informal sector has not been declassified. How can you improve minimum wage when we don't have two sectors? But come on, what happened to semi-skilled people? Which sector are you going to put them in? What happened to people who are going to trade school and obtaining certificates to specialize in certain area? Will you still call them informal workers? No, you cannot. Because mind you, I was in Germany for over 2 years studying, and I practiced what I studied there. You will find students coming from high school, they go to trade school, they learn that trade, and they are part of the sector. They are not in the informal sector. In our country, we consider informal sector to be domestic workers, street vendors. No, we consider them to be people who graduated from trade school. You don't call them informal sector because that sector is too big. We need to declassify it. These are the things that are missing from that act. Against that, the Liberal Labor and Governance Alliance, we created a policy reform document, 14 pages. I will share with you to the senators, to send it to the House Speaker, and even to that lawmaker, which even sent it to Minister Cooper Crowd. Guess what? They will not call us for questioning. They will not call us to ask for anything, and they will not even use it. You know why? Because they believe in quick fixes. Because quick fixes gives them the power to get more glorified. It makes them more politically strong. It puts them in the position where they are seen as a demigod. They don't care about solving the problem institutionally. No. So, on the question that you asked, whether we have a human rights committee at different or various workstations, let me say this to you. I went to Grand Cape County, to King George, Beer Mountain, and then I went to have an conversation with the workers. Because mind you, for me, every time when we go in a field, we go straight to workers. We don't want to discuss with the management, because we know management can always cook before they give you the food to eat. So we always go to the workers. So when we went to the workers, we asked them, are you employed here? Almost 60% of the people said no. We asked them, okay, are you a contractor employee? Because mind you, that is the new diversion tactics.
Yeah.
Our own people who are serving as lawyers and counselors and working in these ministries, they are the ones supporting these companies, giving them the ideas to say, don't give Liberian permanent employment because of the damages that will come to your company in the event occupational safety and health is bad and something happened to that worker. You know, you will have to pay huge damage, right? So they are telling these people not to do those things. So they are giving our people 1 year contract. And that 1 year contract, they will tell you is a contractor employment document. It means they want to omit many of the benefits that you're supposed to get. Take for an example, they're supposed to provide you with lunch every day.
Yeah.
The company is supposed to give you lunch. The company is supposed to make sure they give you health insurance benefit. The company is supposed to make sure they provide for you monthly food. I can see that happening in some places. Isn't happening everywhere? No. Poor enforcement of our laws, and it's because the people really don't care. So now going back to that story that took place in Grand Cape May County, the workers told me Minister Cooper Cra went to them and told them, and they were not the only person, even in Bombay County, Western Cluster. He said the Inspector General went there. I mean, yes, the Inspector General went there and told them, say, because you people are not employees, you cannot have a union. So the management will not agree for you to have representative to represent you. So they were denied that right to have representatives representing them. If that simple right can be denied, if no representation, however, having a human right committee, do you think we are going to have a human right committee? When was the last time the Senate committee chair on labor called the human resource management team of our country from the top companies to a meeting to ask them what are the situations at the different workstations? When was the last time the Ministry of Labor called these people to ask them for the way forward for all the issues? Do you know what they always do? They contact 1 or 2 persons from trade and worker unions and few stakeholders, say, y'all come and let's bring the tripartite team to work, and we have a working section. Can the tripartite declaration, that tripartite committee, Mr. Gonglo, can they, in any way, those leaders who are representing them, tell or explain the actual stories that are beyond the suffering and the dehumanization of our workers in different workstations? Mr. Gonglo, I say to you, no. But this is the kind of country that we have, and we are pushing
So
that these things may change.
you made a statement. You're saying that even those who are contractors, they're not allowed to unionize in Liberia?
I
No?
just
Yes,
gave you a reason. In
yes.
Grand Cape May County, in Western Cluster, I'm listing for you. In Western
Eh,
Cluster, they denied them because they said they are not employees. As
And
of
the reason
current,
why,
they don't
right?
still have a union.
The reason why I even mentioned that because it happened here too, right? This is a big movement now with all these tech firms, the Uber, the Lyft, right? These are people are considered contractors, right? So meaning you're responsible for your own health. If you take day off, you're not getting paid, no health insurance, anything, right? But in the state that I live in, Massachusetts, the drivers here, even though they were considered contractors, they were able to unionize, right? So that is not something that Uber or the Lyft company itself can control. So the fact that they were being denied from unionizing, the company can tell the company has no right to tell them they can unionize. If they want to unionize, they can unionize and go with that union force now to the management to negotiate as a union. So the fact that they're telling them not to unionize, that's not something they're supposed to listen to, regardless of what the company's saying. If they want to unionize as a group, they can do that and take that union formation to the company to demand whatever they think uh, is right for them as a group of employees.
Yes, but I think Gabriel, let me just come. I think Dennis forewarned you about comparing the United States with Liberia, and most of you, it's interesting to know that you live in Massachusetts. Massachusetts within the union is one of the states. I think they have what about democracy? You guys practice a direct democracy. I mean, under Massachusetts Constitution, citizens can write a law. If you have good number, it can become law of the state. I think that's the only state in the United States that can do that. You guys practice direct democracy, right? Where laws don't have to be written by elected officials, that even ordinary citizens can read laws on issues that affect them,
And bring it forward.
So you are the only state within the union that does that, that is engaged in that have that practice. No other place, probably nowhere on earth, probably. Massachusetts is a very academic or liberal state to the extreme. But I love that practice too. But let me say this, I think the issue here, those of us who are little stand with government in Liberia, we can pull so many different issues here. If you look at the PRS, what Tengbeh is talking about here, the PRS was a disaster. The poverty reduction strategy under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the end of it, look at the end report that was written. There are many things, there are many reasons they gave why the PRS failed, right? The poverty reduction strategy failed. The only one I want to pick on now is the capacity one. They said capacity remains a binding constraint on Liberia, right? And if we just speak on that capacity remaining being the binding constraints on the growth of the country and why PRS could not be implemented as designed, go here. If you look at the Decent Work Bill and the government itself supposed to serve the people, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Labor, and all other ministries are intended to, kind of connect and serve people. Look, when I work at the Ministry of Labor, I will share my experience with you. I'm not going to call the minister's name, but I work in 2000, I believe, or 2007 or 2008. They set up a committee at the ministry because there was, my boss felt that I was this forward-looking person. They asked me to be the chairperson to vet all work permit applications at the ministry. I actually came off, I read the law. I'm not a lawyer. I took my time. I read the law lays out the process of getting work permit. And it's not just Ministry of Labor alone because it's an interagency responsibility. Before the law says before foreign ministry can give visa if you apply for visa to come to Liberia, right? You state the purpose why you want to come to Liberia. If it is for work, the Minister of Foreign Affairs should not give that worker a visa, that applicant a visa. She first asks the Ministry of Labor whether there is no person qualified to do that job in the country. That was the previous law because we're operating on the previous law, not a Decent Work Act. Before they gave the visa to that person,
Right.
but because they didn't want a situation where people arrive in the country.
And that's the next thing I want us to come to. So just conclude on that one.
Yes. So then they go and apply for work permit. In fact, when they come to the Ministry of Labor asks them, do you have a resident permit? Are you allowed to live in Liberia? When they apply, immigration has already given a resident permit. Foreign Affairs has given them visa. Then they come to the ministry. So what my committee sought to do at the time was to engender an interagency dialogue on how we have made people in the country. The late Ambassador Carton Carpet used to represent foreign ministry in our meeting, and I was chairing our meeting. Immigration used to be there, representing Ministry of Justice, Immigration Service. Then I was there. So we came out, said, okay, the law said there must be this qualification if there is nothing to that. So for now, one of the conditions before any company apply for work permit, they must submit the CV of that worker, because it's not enough to have the academic qualification. Somebody may have a master's degree, somebody have a bachelor's degree, but the person with a bachelor's degree probably has worked with a particular software, and the person with a master has not worked with that software. So that person with a bachelor's degree will be more suitable to do that work. So I said, okay, let's have a CV. Look, I went around. I remember Mr. Woods took me to meet to a meeting, a big meeting, open meeting with the Lebanese community and the Indian community at Mamambon Hotel. We sat down and I explained to them the process, that this is a new process. And they were all confused that because these are store boys they bring in, what CV they're going to present? I said, that's a new thing. So we documented these things. And there were things that when I worked, I discovered. I was very meticulous. I took the Liberalization Act on October that set aside certain businesses for only Liberians. I took that act. I said, okay, if someone is applying for work permit to do used car business, and the person is in used car business, is in or used clothing, blood making, eyes, this set aside for Liberia is a form of employment. So if you own that business, it means you are employed in an industry that you should not be employing. Will deny your work permit. Those were things I did. My committee made a recommendation, right? But I didn't have that authority to say no or yes, right? So in fact, I went one step further.
So are you saying those things are still there?
Of course, I went one step further, and I said, listen, if a company A is registered, and because I even asked for company registration, that in order to determine that this company is in the right industry, applicant must submit the company business registration along with our work permit application.
So Mr. Gonglo, tie it with what we are talking today.
What is your point? No, my point is there's a general capacity gap.
And what does that mean? Capacity, Liberians don't have the workers? When
No,
you say there's a capacity gap.
No, the ministry does not have the capacity to enforce all of the provisions of the law.
What does capacity mean? Are they not willing, or they don't have the expertise? Or
they don't probably have the manpower.
I just gave a classic example. Capacity means critical thinking, for example. That's why I'm explaining what I did when I chaired the vetting committee temporarily, right? So what are you talking about?
So the people to think like you that time, they are not there anymore.
Well, I don't want to be
because I want also, because some of the words we use, for some of us, we want to understand. We said like we don't have the capacity, we don't have the training.
No, they're not to say no one is there. I can't say so. People are there. I believe the technicians are critical, but the leadership in every ministry matters. Because
so it's not capacity, it's about leadership.
Both in a way. Take for example the inspectorate.
Let him land.
No, I want you to bring him, because we don't have all the time.
Dennis, is true. It's true. Like you talk about the contractor issue. That's something we can take 1 hour to talk on. I can talk on the money sector. What ArcelorMittal does is, that's why all of the big companies, Firestone is the icon of contractor, because you have to understand the rubber industry. The rubber for the first 9 years is not producing much latex. So they bring in contractors because they don't want to spend to pay and give benefits to workers. Then after 24 years to 28 years, they give that also to a contractor, because the latest production has dropped also. Aside from Firestone, I understood.
Mr. Gonglo,
it's wrong. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. We have let's say 10 minutes to bring in our callers. So let me go back to Mr. Tengbeh. Let's talk about the permit issue. Mr. Gonglo, with his experience there, lay out a lot. So I want you to just, based on what Mr. Gonglo has stated, what is happening today at the ministry? When we talk about work permits, we talk about the Liberalization Act, we talk about all those different things that's supposed to make that strong. How people are brought in the country. Because if you are bringing store boy, why? So tell me, as of today, how are we doing with this work permit issue? And is the Liberalization Act being respected?
Yeah, Mr. Dennis, thank you very much. The Liberalization Act is dead. It's not working. Let me be clear. Let me say again. The Liberalization Act is dead. If it was working, you will not find foreigners doing ice cream business. You will not find foreigners doing block making business. You will
Minus
not find foreigners. I mean, you can go on to list. There are over 28. It has been increased to even 60 different kinds of businesses that only Liberians should do. And that is not the only part of the Liberalization Act that should interest you and interest Mr. Gonglo and Mr. Carter and the rest of the other people listening. The Liberalization Act also created the space because, mind you, at that time, former President William Richard Turnbull in 1975 was very careful. He didn't want to see foreign companies coming to our country from the top management to the bottom, that's also foreigner. So you know what he did? He mentioned in that act that Liberians should also have senior managerial position in that act. Is
Absolutely.
it happening? It's dead. It is not working. Now, when I listen to him carefully talking about the alien work permit thing, I just want to remind him that his big brother and someone that I respect a lot, Councillor Tewon Gonglo, he was the minister at that time at Labour that improved and increased the work permit from $400 US to 1,000. You know why he did it? He did it so that he could discourage foreign workers from coming to our country and staying here to occupy position permanently. That was why he did it. And when he did that, he passed a decree. Now, I'm sorry, I can't open that document now because that docket is way in my closet. But he passed a decree that says before the Ministry of Labor issue a foreign work permit, let's and I agree with Mr. Gonglo when he said you should check whether they have a valid resident permit. Yes, you should check that resume. Yes, you should also list with the Ministry of Youth and Sport. It means the Ministry of Labor should work in conjunction with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Because I just told you the reason why the work permit fee was increased is to discourage foreign workers so that Liberian youth can take up opportunities. Now, let me also open the air for all of us. Work permit in our country, that department, that alien work permit department, it was created so that foreigners can come to our country to train us, to create human capacity development and training programs. It means a foreigner will come, he served in this position for a few times, he trained that person or trained Liberians to take over. It's not for him to stay in our country. Is that what's happening? I was in Grand Cape Man County. It will surprise you to know two Turkish, they call them senior accountants, came from Turkey to BA Mountain. Who trained them? A junior accountant at BA Mountain. How much were they paying her? $750. So they're doing the reverse. So she trained them. And after training them, guess what? They increased our salary to $2,950 plus benefit. The local Liberian was still making $750 US. Now, that is a total violation of the Liberalization Act. Our law says, and that law is supported by the Decision Act. If you are a Liberian working in this position, in this company, let's say Focus on Liberia is a company now. I'm a Liberian and I'm working here. My position is I'm a journalist. Mr. Dennis or Mr. Carter, you people are experts, meaning you are foreign workers now. You came to my country. You are also working here. We are serving in the same position. You are journalists too. I don't care whether you're a foreign journalist, you are a journalist, you are playing the same role. We have the same term of reference. The law says we should be paid the same salary. Is
Yeah.
that happening? Go in Sion Town, go in Loking Town. All of these big companies, people are doing driver's job. I publish documents of foreigners occupying driver's license doing driving job, but they are paying them 9,000, 1,500 Indians. Local Liberians are being paid 150. So it tells you these laws are only on book, but they are dead. The Bureau of Employment I thought that the minister was going to be smart. And let me say this, I was the advocate that pushed the minister and the Ministry of Labor for them to create their own website. Today, they have a functioning website. They now had it. They only had a one page, Chrome that you can go read, and that
landing
page will
page,
say,
right?
welcome to
Yep.
the Ministry of Labor. Here is an alien work permit. Click here to apply. That was all. Today now, they have a website. But that website at the Ministry of Labor, it should include many things. There should be the establishment of the National Wage Commission. That we should not have a national wage a committee. We should have a commission. That commission should be an independent body working in connection with Liberia Immigration Service, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Labor, and the Liberia Revenue Authority. These things are not there. There should be the creation of a waste compliance and inspection unit. How then do you know that foreign companies are not in compliance with our laws? Because these simple things are not there. When folks classification is missing, fast track compliance and tribunal is missing. What we have at the Ministry of Labor is a labor code. I'll tell you for free. I got cases on my docket. Many cases, workers from Aslameta and different people. That case has been at the labor court for 5 years. There is one information that I got. You can listen to the voice recording where a Liberian lawyer is threatening a Liberian or Liberians, 32 Liberians, telling them, say, in as much as I am over the case, you will not get justice for the next 5 years. Yes, these things are happening. So these people know the laws, but they don't practice them, they don't enforce them, and they will use that law to work it in a reverse way against our common citizen. These things are normal. So the people are the reason why we got huge level of foreign workers here.
Mr. Tengbeh, so I know we've talked, we've talked a lot on all these problems, right? And we this is just a tip of the iceberg. More and more problems. My question to you now is why? Why do we have all these root cause analysis? Why are these things happening? What's the root cause?
Corruption, selfishness, greed, over greed, over from these leaders. It is not just at the Ministry of Labor, the lawmakers, the representatives, the senators. All of the people getting caught, they're getting their share. Listen now, what I want you to do, be your own judge. Listen to the recalling, the meeting of the minds, according to Senator DeLong, that was held in his office when Minister Cooper Crowd went there to visit him, and the Senate Committee on Labor, the chairman, Senator Thomas Yaya Nimle. If you listen to Senator Nimle praising the Minister of Labor, you are doing a good job, and actually we think the only thing missing is that you are not feeding us with information. And we are happy that you have you said that you revoke 17 work permit in the country. Where did he publish it? Where are the information? Oh, now in a month you say that you dismiss people, like people can see it. How is it amounting to Liberians getting job? How? So only people care about themselves, their pocket. They are so greedy, corrupt people. They don't care. They care about their share. And that is the reason why these laws will not be implemented or enforced. The Bureau of Employment will do nothing. When the minister thinks that people are focusing on him squarely or looking at him too much, then you know what he will do? He will go and open vacation job scheme. For 200 person, he say, you come apply. 200 person apply, then he, create the situation where 25% or 30% get to go somewhere for 2-3 months so that the public attention can leave from him. Now, how corrupt this sector is. Wicked people.
If you're watching, this is Focus on Liberia. Please call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403 to be a part of the discussion. And so I the problem will never finish. So I want us to talk more of the solution. What can be done? What do we do now? You know, some people have given. Oh, some people say they want coup d'etat or that, and we don't want to talk coup yet. So let's talk about solutions.
Dennis, the solution
Yes,
is
sir.
very simple. The solution is enforce the law. The law has not been enforced. That's all. The solution is very simple. We need to have people of.
And why is the law not being enforced?
I think Tengbeh
So the solution is not enforcing the law then,
no,
because
no, Tengbeh said greed and corruption. It's not
yeah.
just labor ministry; it's the entire government, and not just this government. Government before it, government before it, government before it. We can go by generation. It's a greed. For example, he talked about denying a work permit. Under the previous law, I don't know how it is written under the Decent Act. Under the previous law, if an application for work permit is denied, that denial is submitted to immigration. That person is supposed to be, uh, uh, um, what I should say, deported from the country because you've lost your right to work in the country. If you cannot work, how do you live? We don't have. The government is not going to give you housing. The government is not going to feed you. Government is not going to pay your rent. So when you are denied work permit, you're supposed to leave the country. Immigration is supposed to withdraw the resident permit from you. Okay? So these are things that we need to focus on. And no country succeed in creating jobs for her citizens if we go the way we're going. We keep doing the same thing over and over. The result will be mass. Well, unemployment in Liberia is very low. A lot of people are working. But, you know, I'm sorry for government after government don't understand this labor issue. Unemployment rate in developing countries is always low. And the reason why it's low is that we do not have a welfare system. So in a body, that's why you have so much child labor. They have to do anything in order to survive. And in labor statistics, when we measure work, what we call work, we don't call it job, what we call work. When we measure work, it's really economic activities. We are looking at, there are different ways we ask questions. Like we ask a 7-day criteria. In the last 7 days, have you done any work for a pay? I mean, that you got either $1 or you got some pay in kind. And obviously, ask that question in Liberia using the 7-day criteria, you have large chunk of people saying, yes, I brushed my uncle yard, he gave me $10. Or I helped my uncle. They will tell you how they got the money. And by that standard, you work. In the last 7 days, you work. So if you use a 7-day criteria, you see a large chunk of people who are work. Okay?
Thank you.
So then
But that's seasonal. That's seasonal work.
That's
not permanent.
So Gabriel, so we can go on in the report and follow what I should say, cement it and say. So in Liberia, when we did the labor force survey in 2010, here what the report say: 79%, 79.3% of those who were working in non-sustainable. They were doing non-sustainable job. We call it vulnerable job, right? That means like Ghana boys. So if they get sick today, they don't get paid. If they earn money when they work, right? So large chunk of the people who are working were working in non-sustainable way, right?
Yeah.
Just about 20% who are working in the formal sector. Yeah,
Right.
formal sector. So the
my
challenge
question to you is,
Gabriel, I don't want us to, Mr. Gonklo, I don't want us to start new show because that's how even accounting and business, that's how they deceive the people, right? We had our organization in Atlanta here, and if somebody promised us to say, okay, I will give this organization 300,000, they put it on the book as our asset, account receivable.
Yeah.
So when we reported our asset, I mean, it's like, but then we don't have money to pay for the building that we're in. So these kind of deceptive tactics, so labor people will do it and say, okay, in fact, to be unemployed, you should be actively looking for work. So since nobody looking for work, our unemployment rate has dropped to, those kind of things. So I don't want us to
Then is
that both people just trying to fool
the
us.
way
That's
the
not
way
how it is
unemployment
done.
the
That is-
the way
yeah.
the way employment is calculated, there's 6 methods from what is called U2 to U6. U6 is basically encompasses everybody, meaning what Mr. Gonglo just talks about, right? The seasonal people. But you can't, as a country, you have to have a defining criteria in terms of what you consider your unemployment, right?
Exactly.
Are you going to include people who are just, hey, Dennis called me today to come brush a yard, or my auntie called me to come wash her clothes for $5? You can't include that as part of your employment calculation. So we
Oh,
have to have a defining criteria in
mhm.
terms of how we define unemployment. So because
or,
that is deceiving, you know. We can
or
just look
his grandfather in Glade going to the palm wine
at
and say, okay, you are at work because you tapping palm wine.
exactly.
Yeah, you
Uh-huh.
selling power when you earn income.
Yeah, you see.
If it's
That area is
consistent,
considered work. That
So
if it's
it's inconsistent. It's inconsistent. But that's work. But look, Gabriel, I agree with you. A country has to reach, but you know,
we go
uh,
by this national international standard, and then we have nothing for ourselves, and
no,
then
no,
we don't fit in.
then that's the problem is
I
for,
disagree with Mr. Gonglo,
for
honestly.
comparability, you're coming, Mr. Tengbeh, for comparability, for you to compare Liberia unemployment rate with Ghana or Ivory Coast, they have to use the same criteria.
we have to,
We have
because
to
we're in
use
the same region.
we have to use the same definition of what constitutes work, what
Mhm.
constitutes unemployment. We have to use that. It's global. But you know, you can use that, and then, like Gabriel said, as a country, you can say, okay, like Liberia was a security risk to have 79% of those who are working in a vulnerable or
That
precarious
is a national
situation.
security.
That is
Yeah.
national security. It means these people that just all over the place, when they catch malaria, they don't have money. But that was the situation, and that situation has not changed. And when we did it, unemployment rate in Liberia
We got to close, gentlemen.
was like 3.3.
And Mr. Timber, the people want you back because we didn't even go where we wanted to. We didn't even go do enough. So I don't want us to go into the definition because I know the book people will always put something there to make it look like we're doing fine. We couldn't pay our bill, but here our asset was
Yeah,
400,000. Huh?
I'd like to have Mr.
yeah,
Tengbeh.
but I I just wanted to clear that a high employment to population ratio does not necessarily mean jobs are formal. Those jobs can be in the informal sector, the informal economy, subsistence agriculture, or low wages labor, jobs. Now, I listened to you and when you said that on or developing countries always have high rate of unemployment. So can we say that
I,
Madagascar is a
I
developed
said,
country now because
I
they
said
have
low rate of unemployment, low rate. That's what I said.
yeah, that was what you said. The unemployment rate you said in developing countries will be low, or did you say it will be high? Because I think you are trying to confuse us. Unemployment rate, I think you meant to say will always be high, right?
Oh, in
No, I
developing
think you
countries,
said it will be unemployment rate is low, is always low,
it's
which
low
I
because
find very troubling.
we don't have other social services to cater to. Like in the US, if I'm unemployed, the government will cater to me. I'll get money. In Liberia, nobody will cater to you. So you have to go find cool water to sell. When you're selling cool water to earn little thing for living, that's work.
You employ.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is a kind of a
You gotta like when you plant your potato green
destination.
behind your house and you take it to sell so you can get lithium buy fish or real oil to cook your dry rice, that work. So
Yeah,
in developing
that's
countries, but Gabriel, you earn income.
you do, but it's not
Because
sustainable. It is not sustainable.
whenever
It's
statistic, Gabriel, we are measuring economic activities. When you
yeah,
sell, it's not economic activities.
but there's broader aspect of doing unemployment. I told you
I
there's
agree.
six
There are other
categories,
measures.
right? There's six categories.
Yeah, I
There's
agree.
U1, U2, from U1 all the way to U6. U6 is the broader one that you're talking about that encompasses everybody, right? These seasonal, what we call seasonal unemployment. See people who work maybe 3 months out of the year, 6 months out of the year. Those it encompasses. But as a country, as you said, We have to have, if we are considering this as a national security threat, we have to be consistent in terms of what do we consider employment in our country. The global standard might be there, but we have to define it for ourselves, right? We can go by the global standard, but make it unique to our circumstances instead of
Yes.
saying, hey, I'm going to the backyard to go brush somebody
Let,
farm and I'll be back, and that's considered work. I think that's a little
all
bit
right.
trouble, but I will learn on
Thank
that.
you. Let's talk solution. We were talking solutions, and then
Right.
Gabriel your solution, and then Mr. Timber, and then we close.
You see, quickly, and I'm glad Mr. Sengbe pointed this out.
Timber.
Tengbe pointed this out.
Mhm.
Even the former president herself agreed with him. The the most industrial president that we could have had was Tarbert, the architect of the liberalization policy, right? Had that been implemented, or if we are able to implement that, we can solve all of these problems of employment, at least half of it, right? The problem is not about whether we have the law on the books or not. It is there. We have it. The liberalization policy is there. This is, I think, one of the brilliant policy ever developed. But we continue to circumvent it. We continue to I always have a story when I talk about these things. Perfect. When Mr. Gonglo, the former, I think the lawyer now, when he was the Minister of Labor, in I had a friend who worked at the Labor Ministry. Every time I go to the library, I will follow him. Literally, when he's going to do those inspections in the city, I will just tag along with these violations. And there is always, I will just sit in the back. There's always a way people have to circumvent these policies that are on the books. That if you violate, you got to pay this. You violate, you got to pay this, right? So for solution problem, I think is a leadership problem and an implementation problem. First, you enforce the law, and two, if there are penalties that need to be paid, you ensure that people pay those penalties, and they cannot circumvent that, right? The second thing I think is the second aspect of this is I think is a president or an administration that is focused on creating jobs, right? Not just making it easy for people to start companies, but making it also enforceable that if you are a company operating in the country, that if you violate, you will be penalized for it, right? And lastly, I will say this: Rwanda came out of a genocide probably 30 or 32 years ago, right? We came out of a war, what is it, 20, 21 year, 22 years ago. Look at where they are. Now, I say, why do I bring this up? The reason why I brought this up is because in Rwanda, Mr. Tengbe pointed this out. The same way, if you are a foreign company, you go in there to start a foreign company, majority of the people that you hire in Rwanda have to be in senior position. I think 75% from the last time I checked. And people can fact check this and keep me honest, right? We need to enforce those same. I believe if we can even amend the liberalization policy, we can put that in there to make it mandatory for people to do that. That is the only way you're going to have Liberia moving up the economic ladder, because you cannot have somebody, a perfect example, where you have an accountant making $750 training somebody and the person is making more than them, and that person, the money, that 2,000 that they're earning, is not staying in our country. They're transporting, they're taking it out of the country. Whereas if 750 the Liberian person is earning, they use it for transportation, food, school fees, take care of the kids, and other living expenses. So we have to think about this at a national level as well as in terms of moving to making sure every Liberian can self-actualize. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Timber. Solutions.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, Mr. Carter, you couldn't have said it any better. Thank you very much for being with us today on this show. But before I give my solution, I just, for the sake of the audience, so people can understand how the foreigners are actually getting our job, I want to read a letter that was letter of application for work permit that was sent by Bangli Pte Limited. It's a subcontractor company working with China Union. It says, "We present our compliment and right to request your honor office to grant work permit in favor of the attached list of 10 individuals. These individuals have been enrolled to serve in various technical capacity in support of our business operation in activities. Kindly find attached a copy of official request sent to the Liberia Immigration Service for process and issuance of resident permits in favor of the individual. Also attached a copy of our business registration certificate. Due to urgent technical work required at our facility, we are seeking your approval for the issuance of the required work permit while at the same time awaiting the completion of the resident permit. Imagine, they said, we want you to approve the work permit while we are still waiting for the resident card. Not all. They say, we wish this will be ready sooner than later, given the number of permits requested. Imagine, the company is saying, we wish this will be considered sooner than later, given the numbers of permits. Guess what? This document was sent on October 28th. It was approved November 4 of the same year. Now, they only said technical services. They did not say what kind of technical services. It said that they are not even explaining to you in details what are those jobs, this description of those people, and whether Liberians can do it. These 10 people, they were not vetted. This letter was approved and sent for printing. Even when the people said, we have not received the resident permit. Imagine, just imagine what is happening to our sector. So for our solution, I will firstly say we need to overhaul and conduct a total reform of the December Act of Liberia, because that December Act, as we speak currently, is toothless. It cannot bite because there are no repercussions. Penalties should be enshrined there. If you violate someone's labor's rights, you should pay a fine of nothing less than 5,000, maybe, to scare foreign companies from doing harms to our local workers. That act also did not include anything like the establishment of a National Wage Commission. That act did not talk about the creation of the Wage Compliance and Inspection Unit. That act has so many missing pieces that should make it better. In my view, the old labor law that we even had before the December Act of 2050, in my view, it was even better. In my view, the CSA law that is protecting civil servants is better. On that note, and I agree with you all that we should have this again, but to create a solution, we need to change this December Act. This is not decent. It cannot protect the decency of our people. It cannot protect their dignity. It cannot support them. It will only further derail the progress that they should be making in our society. Thank you. It was a good show, and it was an honor joining you.
Thank you very much. And you can rest assured we are the best in the business since the fall of the Mali Empire, and there is no station like this. We appreciate your time, and we certainly, definitely going to have you back. Thank you, Mr. Gonglo, for your expertise, and Mr. Gabriel for your expertise as well. And want to thank our viewers for always following us. Until then, we're going to close with our song that says, whether you are Gio, you are Dan, Ma, or you Gribo or Madingo, we are all Liberians. What is very important is we should do our very best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Have a good day, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our